What's up, everybody? Sean the D-Man here, and welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are doing great. Hope you guys are having yourselves a great weekend. Auburn gets a massive, probably season-defining win as they go on the road in Gainesville and beat Florida. Um, Almost by like 9 points, I believe what the final score was. And man, a lot of praise to this team, but there's also like still so much stuff that needs to be worked on with this team throughout the going forward the rest of the season. Props to Keyshawn Hall having a fun. He set the tone, like 10, 11 straight points. He started it, then everybody else contributed where they need to. This probably feels more like the Arkansas game when you had Keyshawn Hall pretty much dominate the entire game, was like 20, 30 points in that game. But defensively, this was always an issue with this team throughout parts of the season, is that they can score points, but defensively is where they really struggle. And in this game, defense was absolutely beautiful to watch with this team. Everybody executed their assignment like they need to for the most part. There were some parts where like Elijah Freeman, for instance, he wouldn't fight through the block. He'll get caught on a block and then just like stop. Don't really try to fight to get in. Then that would allow a Florida guard to get a 3-point shot off or something like that. And so, but yeah, let's jump into the stats of the game. So overall, 76-67. That there was a dunk at the last second, which I'm sure Steven was like, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm glad Auburn won. I've never been a big fan of like people doing like players doing something like that at the end of the game, but it is what it is. This also breaks what was it, 30 years, I think it was, when Auburn last beat Florida in the swamp. So, which is interesting because, last year Auburn beat Kentucky in Rupp Arena, which they hadn't done for like, what, 10 years or something like that. And then you have the win here against Florida down in the swamp. But in this game, Sebastian Williams Adams gave you five. He played well, like 2 rebounds, pretty solid night. Keyshawn Hall, 24 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 8 of 17 for shooting, 3 of 5 from shooting. Um, and so Keyshawn Murphy, 16 points, 5 of 9, 6 of 6. Not it's just like these stats are really cute. Like all your starters, with the exception of Sebastian Williams Adams, all scored in double figures. Tahad, yeah, he's 4 of 10, 1 of 4. He had 5 rebounds. He turns the ball over way too much for my liking. But Jovic played and got you some solid minutes. Freeman gave you some solid minutes. Blake Mashallah is Blake Mashallah. So I don't know what you really want to take from that. But this was such a dominating game for Auburn, and they led pretty much the whole entire game except until the 8-0 run by Florida, which gave them a lead since the beginning of the game when it was like 3-2 Florida. And then as far as stats goes, you were 48% from the field. They were 37, 3-point. I mean, at a point, Auburn was like 50% or so from 3. Maybe they shot, maybe, I don't want to say, they shot 15 threes, which I think is fine. I think I would prefer that than maybe them shooting like 30-ish threes. There were some easy looking 3-point shots in this game. Like I think Freeman had 2. I want to say maybe Sebastian Williams Adams had 1. There were a few that were like clear, a wide open 3-point shots, and Auburn just didn't convert those shots. And I mean Florida, which going into the game, both teams, even the announcer said both teams weren't really good at shooting the 3. And so Auburn made that pretty much the emphasis of their defense because they weren't ever really outside of the arc. They were all inside, just constricting the paint, not allowing the bigs to do whatever they want inside. And if Florida made threes, then Florida made threes, and you just dealt with it. Free throw percentage, 90%. Auburn was 19 of 21. Florida was 16 of 27. Rebounds, 32 to 39. You won the defensive rebounding. They won the offensive, but relatively close with that. Assists, you had 8. They had 13. Steals, about even. There was like a weird moment where, like in the second half, where everybody was just scrambling for the ball. I don't know. I don't think that counts as a steal. They had 7 blocks, and I don't like because the Hod tried to do a instead of just doing like an easy layup, he tried to do like a throwdown dunk and everything that got blocked. There were some shots where I'm just kind of like, guys, these people are a little bit bigger than you. Like they're gonna definitely block the shots. Um, you both were about even on points off of turnovers. Fast break, you won that by 2 points in the paint. You won that by 10. Um, Fouls 20 to 18. And the largest lead was 18. It was 3. So the thing about this is what the concern was this stretch because we talked about it because it was like I believe let me go to the schedule because I think it was like after Missouri. Let's see. Yeah, it was like after Missouri because you had came back and you beat Arkansas. It was you got really good wins in SEC play was against Arkansas and now Ole Miss and Florida. I guess you want to count South Carolina, you can. But one of the things was okay, they're about to go on a run. They need this win against Missouri. Well, you didn't. You didn't. You lost that one. You get 3 straight SEC wins. You beat South Carolina, Ole Miss, because the most worrisome part was these were back-to-back road games. It was Ole Miss and Florida. You handled both of those. So you're 4-3 in conference, and you come back on Wednesday, the 28th, to play a Texas team. So you get a couple of days off to relax and everything, and then now you can maybe breathe a little bit. It's still a little tricky. It's still a little tricky because Texas is sneaky good. Tennessee is Tennessee, which I think they play each other. Alabama and Tennessee play each other tonight. Then you got Alabama with them, you know, finding loopholes and stuff like that to get what was his name, Bediako back in and everything, which is really ridiculous. It should not be allowed. Like it should not be allowed, but whatever. Um, you can like your next 3 games if you can go like if Auburn plays like this, if they can like bring this kind of defense game in and game out, they could win the majority of these games going down the stretch. They just can. Texas, I'm interested in how that matchup is. Tennessee, Auburn, like I think I actually think Auburn could be better suited to play against Tennessee because Tennessee likes to slow things down, play a low scoring type of basketball game. And so if you're Auburn, like you don't really have to like you can score points. But we've seen Auburn like get into these low scoring games in the first half, so that's gonna be interesting to watch. Alabama, that'll be tricky. But yeah, so Auburn, let's see. I know this game's still going on, so I wonder. So they're 4-3 in conference play now, so that's gonna put them. Where are you at? There you are. 4-3. Okay, so you're pretty much. Let me see who is playing. Let's go to SEC. Okay, so Arkansas's 4-2. You would like for LSU to beat Arkansas. Oh yeah, they do play tonight. Okay, Vanderbilt's 4-3, and Georgia's 4-3. 3-4, 5-2. Okay. And then okay. So you're so pretty much everybody important has already played. So this is probably what the final standing is go for today. Besides the Tennessee and Alabama game, but yeah, Georgia 4-3, Missouri 4-3, Vanderbilt 4-3, you're 4-3. I mean, Georgia and Missouri are going to have the leg up because they beat you, but I think if you can go the rest of the season and maybe get yourself, you're probably, unless you just go on a tear and rack up some wins. I would feel really good if Auburn can work their way and getting to that, like that single bye bracket for the SEC tournament. I will feel very good about that. Um, but yeah, I mean Alabama's 3-2, so that could change if Tennessee wins. So it's a little bit of a logjam still, but we'll see how things play out. But yeah, man, it's just a solid win. I hate that they have this habit of allowing teams to get back into games when they have such a massive lead, but they finished the game. So I think that's relatively important to point out that because I got a little nervous. I'm sure a lot of Auburn fans got a little bit nervous where this team, you weren't sure if they were going to like finish the game. They did. The Hod made plays down the stretch. Keyshawn Hall made plays down the stretch. Jovic helped out. So massive win, season defining win for Stephen Pearl. Happy to get a win like this. But guys, that is relatively it. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. If you are new, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button, comment below. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Y'all have a good one.